IPMNation.com.
Local Outbreak on IPMNation.com. This is Matt from IPMNation.com, and our guest tonight is Brad Parker. How are you, Brad?
Very well, sir.
Looking forward to talking with you, and I want to remind everybody, of course, that we do record every Tuesday night at the studio at 50 Canal Street in downtown Laconia. The studio, it's a funky little gift shop and art gallery, and come on down. We like to have a live studio audience, and of course the show airs Sunday nights on 100.1 The Planet at 10 p.m. and is also available on IPMNation.com. And also, too, we are sponsored by Central NH Events. If you need a DJ for your event, go to centralnhevents.com, and Mr. Tim Martin does a phenomenal job. And Brad, where are you from?
I grew up in Littleton, New Hampshire.
Okay, so you but you also have a place in Boulder. You were saying off air earlier.
Actually, Bow.
Oh, Bow. I'm sorry. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm a musician. I don't hear well.
Yeah, I know that well. In fact, I'll tell you a story about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1978, late 78, I had a recording contract with Wayland Records and a publishing deal. And I went almost stone deaf.
Really?
Oh, yeah, we played loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were doing a lot of big shows. I remember one show just before the last one was with Jerry Reed at the Omni in Norfolk, Virginia. And I think you might remember Jerry Reed.
Absolutely, yeah. He passed away not too long ago, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was a real nice guy. He was not he was a little guy. He wasn't very big.
Yeah.
You see him in the movies, and it doesn't seem like he's. But he was a wicked good guitar player too. Yeah, nice guy. I sat on the bus with him, and we chatted before the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played with a lot of big bands actually.
So you say you almost went deaf, but what did your hearing recover? Or?
Well, yeah, my record company sent me to the best head of Mass Eye and Ear at the time.
Yeah,
and he wrote out my prescription. He said, "Go someplace where you can't hear a pin drop for a year, and wear earplugs all the time."
Wow!
And my hearing came back.
Wow, that's.
The high-end frequencies are shot, but
really,
yeah. But when I'm recording in the studio, I can turn up certain frequencies, but they tell me that my hearing still is exceptionally good because I hear things that others don't.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't know how that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
This mic is still getting... Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was curious about that because I'm someone who, I have tinnitus. I can...
Right.
For those who don't know, of course, that's constant ringing. You probably have some of that too, I would assume.
That went away.
That went away completely?
A long
wow,
time
good
ago.
for you.
Yeah, that before I went deaf.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. No, I have it very, very slightly. I notice that if it's really quiet, like when I lie down to sleep at night, if everything's really quiet, I kind of hear it, and it's
it's trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
It's saying, don't do this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot to talk about, but let's play a track to open the show. What do you want to start the show with?
Let's start with Work.
Work, okay.
Yeah.
And tell us about this, because this song was pretty successful for you, right?
Yes, it was. It got up to number 20 on the country charts and number 16 on the independent charts.
Wow.
And I hooked up with a promoter out of Nashville, and he started working the tune, and each week it went up, and it got stationed, what's called an ad, where stations were picking it up, and it was up into getting about 1,900 plays, and that's as far as it went.
Yeah.
I think it's the market closes up so that the majors, they control pretty much everything.
Right. It's always a tough road for independent artists like yourself, but
Yes, it is.
But that is a big accomplishment, though.
Yes,
That's
it
great.
is.
So
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And what album is this from?
That is from Done Turned On.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the third album in this series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's funny how that album developed. I was getting certain kind of play on certain stations, so I kind of changed my directions, and I was kind of put into an Americana category.
Yeah.
Somewhere between country and folk and blues, and that's all right. Wherever they,
it's a great format.
Yeah, it is. And I was enjoying that, and I wrote when you start out in this business, you start to say, what can I do? Where am I successful? And I found that my writing got to be very lyrical and, double and triple entendres.
Yeah.
And, so, it's a little deeper than some, and but you develop your style to fit your voice. Now, I've done a lot of rock and music in my life. In fact, that's, as I said, that's what happened, how I went deaf. But my voice tends to be, it does well in an Americana range.
Sure.
And where you have to use good lyrics and think about each word and what it means, etc.
Absolutely.
And so anyway, it developed into that, and then that album kind of taught me, the first two gave me an indication of where I needed to go.
Yeah.
And so the Done Turned On album did very well. But in the promotion process, all of the albums went just to that, in radio stations around the world. And now things have changed. I'm sure you're aware of the computer has changed everything. Mm-hmm. And right now I have songs in over 60 countries.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's
it
fantastic,
really is.
yeah.
I sit there and I go, wow, that is a big old world. And as we speak in Brazil, we've got, I don't know which songs they're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been doing very well in Brazil. And that's all since around the time that they had the World Cup there. And that might have had something to do with it, because in 60 countries there's a lot of people coming in, and
yeah, exactly.
And they picked up on it, and there you go.
You just never know.
You don't. China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear the track, and then we'll come back and chat. So this is Work from Brad Parker here on Local Outbreak on IPMNation.com.
Work all day, work all night, just to pay what has come due. Now working man, just working like a fool, every day and on the weekend too. There is no time for fun and games. He ain't no rich kid, no time to play. There ain't no time for anything, just work and worry about everything. He gonna work that finds a way. He gonna work all night and day. Smile and joke, drink and smoke, work and dream that life away. We all hope, we all and on the weekend too. There is no time for fun and games. We ain't no rich kid. There ain't no time to play. There ain't no time for anything. Just work and worry about everything. Work that life away. You're gonna work that life away. Now the working man just working like a fool. Every day and on the weekend too. There ain't no time for fun and games. He ain't no rich kid, no time to play. There ain't no time for anything. Just work and worry about everything. So just work your life away. That life away. We're gonna work that life away.
Local Outbreak on IPMNation.com. This is Matt from IPMNation.com, and we are at the studio at 50 Canal Street in downtown Laconia chatting with Brad Parker. And so that song we heard, Work, what year was that came out?
Ooh, 2012, I believe it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
2011 and 12.
That's pretty recent.
Yes.
Do you think that why do you think it is that your stuff is caught on in places like Brazil and whatnot? Do you think there's something about, you've kind of gotten into that Americana format in terms of radio? Do you think there's something about that format that's easily accessible in a way to different cultures and different countries?
Yes,
because that's kind of my theory. But what do you think?
I'll tell you, different songs have different functions on the radio,
mm-hmm.
and you start to figure out that, for instance, if you go back to recently down here at Meadowbrook, was James Taylor,
mm-hmm.
and listen to the types of songs of that genre in that era.
Yeah,
they're very listenable,
right?
Then if you go, let's go to the other end of the spectrum where you got rap stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That has a function, and it obviously is working, right?
Yeah.
And then you go back. Let's go into metal rock, and that has a function, and then of course you've got everything in every direction from there, and we're very fortunate. We have all of these things available to us, and sometimes this is hot, and the next time there's something else, and
yeah.
But I think Americana has a wide appeal for a lot of reasons. It's inclusive of a lot of the things America has had,
mm-hmm.
The old country all the way through to what country is today, which doesn't resemble country at all,
Right.
So it's everything becomes integrated, but still what has appeal around the world is, and I'll never forget, this is the motto of the Nashville Songwriters Association. It's all in a song.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of constructed my musical career around that.
Sure.
It's very impressive to think that, yeah, we can go out and we can play and we can turn a crowd on, but what's going to work on the radio?
Mm-hmm.
At different, as I said, different times, the whole world is open. You just don't know what's going to work. But it's what you do yourself that defines you. And I myself, I think in the years that I've played, it comes right. Let's sit down and write a song and see what we get.
Are you how much of that when you go to write something? How much of that is are you consciously thinking about what works for you? I mean, because everyone kind of approaches it differently. Are you really consciously thinking about there are certain parameters or there's certain things that I've done that work, so I'm going to try and continue in that vein, or do you kind of stray from that and just do what you're feeling or whatever you're thinking? Or
that's a very extremely good question, because I write in different directions.
Yeah.
If we had time and we could play enough of these songs, you'd say, "Wow, where did that come from?"
Yeah.
I was sitting down the other day writing an old style jazz kind of tune. And just for the fun of it, I turned it around and I said, "Well, let's try this in a Johnny Cash feel and see what it feels like."
Yeah.
Now that's a big spread,
right?
But let's you get the idea, and then you have to find the medium where it works.
Yeah.
And often, what you start out with is not what you end up with.
Right.
And when you go in a studio and you can hear it back, you're driving away from the studio and you leave it for a day,
Yeah.
And you put it in your car stereo and you're listening. You got to fix this. You got to do this, and that doesn't work. Well, this has to be reworked, and this, which is a great thing about recording.
Right.
Oh man, that's a wonderful thing, because you do get a chance to sit back. You haven't released anything. It's not like it's boom, there you
right.
go, going out on the air.
Yeah.
However, I told you about this song that I wrote recently for a TV show. I recorded that, and then I had it on radio. I mixed it on Friday, and I had it on the radio on Sunday.
Wow.
To about an audience of potentially of over 1 million people.
Yeah.
Now, but that wasn't like going in, sitting down, recording just the vocal and the guitar or piano, whatever you want to do, and then listening to it. This is after production,
Right.
But that was the quickest turnaround that I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
As far as writing a tune, recording it, and then getting it out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're going to play that song today, but it's a real pretty song. It's called Southern Comfort.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In fact, I should leave you a copy of that so you can at least, if you want to play it, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you ever, when you go into the studio to record, do things change? Because you mentioned, what you start out with in terms of writing isn't always what you end up with. What about in terms of recording? Do you ever record and then because you talked about, listening to it like on the way home from the studio and then saying, okay, I got to fix this, I got to change this. But do you ever find that, what you come out with is different than what you had in mind, but then you decide to keep it that way? Maybe you kind of surprise yourself and you say, okay, well, this isn't what I imagined, but I like this, so I'm going to go with it?
I have done that because, you bring in... when you've got really great players, they all come with ideas. And they say, well, have you thought of trying this like this? And you do it and you go, wow, yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And so then you're back to square one, but the song is still there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And it gets expensive real fast. You can't do that very often.
Right.
And for the most part, when I go in a studio, I go in just me and my guitar.
Yeah.
And that's how I start. And then I get a chance to listen and think to myself, now, how do I want this produced?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a matter of, okay, who's available, this person, that person, etc. And I'm very fortunate over the years to have met some very great players and from all over the country. And they'll come. If I send them the song, they go, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And they'll come. And it's like a reunion, we get together and, get a chance we haven't seen each other in a long time. So it's a very enjoyable thing. Music is an incredible medium, and you interact with people you never thought you'd even know.
Sure.
And that's a very neat thing, I think, about music.
And in this era, too, because of the internet, I mean, I'm sure that helps, too, in terms of reaching out to people, seeing who's available. You can send someone a WAV file or an MP3 of a track. And
you can do that. And there's a lot of people that are doing that.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just old-fashioned. Let's get together with a studio.
Right.
It's a you can't feed people today. Because there's not the venues to do that. There was a time, and I was there, and I got to tell you, it was a lot of fun. I mean, you'd move into a place and play there for a week, and then move 300 miles to someplace else and play there for 2-3 days and off again. Today, a lot of especially the young people, they're lucky to get a gig, period, that pays.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't pay very much.
Right.
And in fact, that leads to the open mic things. There's a lot of pretty good musicians being taken advantage of. However, it is a venue that they can just walk in, sit down, and play a tune or two, and
True.
really go home. They don't have to. They might work very hard at what they're doing, but it's a whole different ball game to walk in there and do a whole show.
Right.
I'll tell you what, it's a real different ball game, and that's when you go in to a concert and you do a 2-hour show and you do your own songs. Mm-hmm. And that brings me to a point that I'd like to kind of hammer home here.
Yeah.
Which hooks back up to It's All in a Song. I started writing in 1964. That's a long time ago. And, if you thought in all those years you could come out with one good song a year, well, fortunately, I've managed, not necessarily in any one year, but I've managed to write enough so I can do a concert, stand up there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it keeps coming.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, an accomplishment as you look back at it, you can say, I did it. I did what I set out to do.
Right.
And it's one thing. I know I have some very good friends that go out and they play other people's music. That's fine.
Sure.
But in my own heart, if I didn't write it, I'm not playing it.
Yeah. So no covers for you then?
No,
I assume?
I don't do any covers at all.
Yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just
right.
No, I mean they don't need any publicity.
Right.
They've done well.
Well, plus in your case, you can honestly say you've had success with your own material too. You're not in the position of saying, well, I've got all these songs I've written, but nobody cares, so I guess I'll go play covers. You've written material that's been successful.
What's really interesting is how it works in a show.
Yeah.
I mean, as you start to string your songs together, does it make a good show? Yeah, it does. And that pleases me greatly.
Yeah.
And I wrote a song called Waltz Across New Hampshire. It's one of the prettiest little songs. In fact, I'll leave you a copy of that too.
Sure.
Play it. It's very simple, but it's pretty. And my friend Ellen Carlson, she played the violin. In fact, 3 tracks for a lead section. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous. And I've got a few songs like that,
Do you write by yourself? Or do you ever collaborate on writing? Is everything self-written?
Yeah, I pretty much work alone.
Yeah. Has it always been that way for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I tried to write a tune with Dusty Gray a while ago.
Oh, yeah. Dusty Gray's been on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I like Dusty. Anyway, we sat down and we started working on it, and he was going one way and I was going another, and well, And we both ended up with two different songs.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But that you can do that. I mean, he flies into Nashville and writes down there with a guy.
Yeah.
And they're doing some nice things. I've heard a couple of the tunes.
Yeah.
Nice,
I remember him talking about that Nashville connection.
Yeah. I was in Nashville myself. I went down like so many others. Excuse me. And think just to check it out and see what was going on. And I had a friend at the time. Sony used to be CBS, so it was when it was CBS. And my friend dragged me around that town like a whirlwind. The next thing you know, I'm standing up on stage doing a solo. You play as long as you want, and it goes to the music execs all over the place.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I drove down, and man, I was beat. I was up on stage, singing and playing and trying to put on a good show.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the music business is funny sometimes. Well, anyway, it went well, and my friend at CBS Execs, he said, "You stay here, I can help you. You go home, I can't." Right. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's when you think about these things, they have to be financed. Mm-hmm. Now, who's going to finance that? You're going to work in McDonald's and try to do your music on the side? Well, no.
So you went home?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did. Life is odd how it lays itself out. You buy a car, you get yourself in debt, you have debt there and one thing or another. So in truth, you've got to have that income. Mm-hmm. And you got to have an income anyway. It costs a lot to live.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And anyway, I did things the way that worked out for me. And I did an awful lot of playing. And then I stopped playing. And I just wrote for a long time.
But let me ask you, though, were you tempted to stay in Nashville? Or did you know, no, that's the wrong move. I got to go home and blaze my own path. I mean, when he said that to you, were you tempted to stay there?
At that time, no.
No?
No. The reality wasn't the music. The reality was survival.
Yeah.
And if, had I even approached a writing deal at that time, and that had been the format for my safety net,
right?
Making a consistent living.
Yeah.
Then, there's some pragmatic issues that come up very quickly and slap you in the face.
Yeah.
And there's people that have other means of surviving over time like that too. But I didn't. I was just a country kid, and but things work out. I was thinking how random. Look at the show right now. You never know what's going to happen, but if you aren't prepared, you can't do it.
Right.
Right.
And
this is one of these things where, it's chicken and egg and so forth. But I've been very fortunate. I try to use my head and do what I think is right, and it works for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might not work for everybody. And I'm sure it doesn't. There's so many people. I remember, too, in those times, in that era, when that occurred with Nashville, I was used to having bands and, the function of bands to work with. But when it comes right down to it, you're going to stand up there by yourself.
Yeah.
Now, that's a different reality for a lot of people. I always was able to execute it because I don't have to be any different. I just who I am.
Right. Well, why don't we let's play another song, because you did bring a bunch of stuff tonight. What do you want to play next?
Oh, let's do Road to Adventure.
Okay, yeah, you had told me off air, so we'll mention it on air too. Listen to the lyrics, right? Because this is the one you mentioned. You're particularly proud of these lyrics.
Yeah, it tells the story of, we all start out, and especially when we're young, we're looking for the adventure. You know? Let's go for it. Well, as you live life and you look at it, and someday, what is going to happen? And this whole song is basically, the lyrics are a story about that.
Okay, that's relatable. All right, cool. Well, let's take a listen. So this is Road to Adventure from Brad Parker here on Local Outbreak on IPMNation.com.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a soft place for me to lay down. There will be tender arms there to hold me. A place I can call my hometown. As I rock here to sleep in this boxcar, this thought carries me into dreams. When I wake, I may be cold and hungry, but I might shed these boots and these jeans. The road to adventure is traveled, and the path is worn deep by brave souls. There are many laid under the gravel, and many who did not grow old. The road has been more like a prison, and freedom more like a curse. The life I had dreamed would be heaven has been more like hell here on earth. When I'm stoned, I have me some reason. When I'm not, I just wanna be. To forget all the places and people, the years I thought was me. The road to adventure is traveled, and the path is worn deep by brave souls. There are many laid under the gravel, and many who did not grow old. Time's my friend alone. It's easy to lay my head down when this train comes to rest at the last stop. That will finally be my hometown. The end of a hard-traveled journey, in search of my life and my bride. I found them both much too early, and here on this last train I ride. Like all those who have gone before me, and all those who will come behind, we all started out with a purpose and a fine little peace in our time. The road to adventure is traveled, and the path is worn deep by brave souls. There are many laid under the ground, and many who did not grow old. There are many laid under the ground, and many who did not grow old.
Local Outbreak on IPMNation.com. This is Matt from IPM Nation, and we're here with Brad Parker tonight. Or we should also say, too, on your albums, because if people are looking for your stuff, I know at least on some of them you're Bradley Winfield Parker.
Yeah, it's all under Bradley Winfield Parker. In fact, if you go to the web and put in Bradley Winfield Parker, you'll come up with pages, just pages of stuff and music, etc.
Yeah.
And it tells, iTunes is there, CD Baby.
Yeah.
You can get all of my stuff through CD Baby.
Yeah.
And in fact, they've been a very big part of what's going on because they filter your song out, or songs or albums,
right,
throughout the world.
Yeah.
It takes time for it to work its way through. But, that's a very big deal.
Are you associated with any kind of a record label or anything, or is it all pretty much do it yourself?
Well,
I mean, I know you have help from different connections that you have and whatnot, but in terms of actually releasing the music,
no, it is Albeit Records.
Okay, and that's you.
That's me.
Yeah.
And I've had chances to sign and do things, and it just wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah. Do you like having that sort of that autonomy and that?
At this stage of the game, I'm retired.
Yeah.
And I work at whatever speed that I work, and if I don't, who am I holding up? No
right.
one.
Right.
I've got enough songs for a major label to stay busy for a long time if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I could tell you a story that happened when my song got up on the charts. I was getting nervous, and what was making me nervous was what would happen if a major came and said, "Look, this is what we're going to do." Well, I didn't have an attorney. I didn't have anybody. Here I am standing there all alone.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that.
Right.
I mean, this gets big very fast, and it takes a lot of things to come together.
Yeah.
And you can't believe when something actually works, and they're looking at it and going, well, let's get on this. It reminds me of Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
When Buddy Holly, I don't know if you know the story, but when he sent a copy of one of his records that he made, a tape, to a major label in New York City, and they didn't know. They thought it was somebody within their own organization. Well, they sent it out to a radio station, and the guy at the radio station said, wow, you got to hear this. And he put it on the air, and Buddy Holly did not have a recording contract.
Yeah.
And so they had to come back to him and say, look, wouldn't you like to sign a record deal? He said, not unless I can produce my own stuff.
Yeah.
And he walked out, and the president's right behind him saying, yeah, well, okay. Won't you come back and talk some more? Yeah, okay. And so he went back in. Well, anyway, if you think about the industry and how big it is and how vast it is and how much money it takes to get a song out there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, when I got this work out there, it was, I just did the right things at the right time and got lucky.
Yeah, yeah.
It might not happen for anybody again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the industry's changed so much.
Yeah. And if somebody manages to squeak around at the end, they button that up real quick.
Right. Yeah, the system kind of protects its own.
Yes.
And it does. I mean, for commercial radio, it does take a lot of money, and
it does.
And but it's interesting because in this era that we live in, with the internet, you can put a song out and promote it through other means, and college radio, there's always that too, and there's a lot of internet radio, but for commercial radio, it really is kind of, same as it ever was. It's very, very difficult, and it's very much a closed shop in a lot of ways.
It's extremely closed.
Yeah.
But if you figure what it cost, I took all of the albums that I had, and this was for Done Turned On. You can get, there's 3 copies left of this at CD Baby, and that's the only place it's available.
Wow.
And that's all that's left.
Yeah.
All of my albums went out to radio stations.
Yeah.
And if you sit down and you start thinking about this on a world level, how expensive that is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Right now, what's happening, and this I notice it a lot, people are putting out EPs, like 4, 5, 6 songs.
Oh, sure.
Max, max, Well, a lot of people are getting real smart, and they're producing one song and doing it really well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And let's see what we can do with this. Well, here's what the problem is, and this happens on the web too, is, all right, we can put it out there, but if nobody's behind it to say, look at this, guess what? It doesn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
Unless you've got a real small niche of people, and I think it's as difficult as it ever was to go that route. So don't expect any, trumpets playing because you're up on the web. No, that doesn't work. Well,
what that reminds me of, because I used to work at a major music retail chain, and I was there for quite a few years, and I noticed a trend. Within the last, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years that I was there, where people were coming in looking for songs that they'd heard on the radio, and in some cases, and I'm not saying all the time, but in a lot of cases, we would go to look up, well, how do you get this song? And it would turn out that it wasn't going to be available because all there was a single. There was no album, and there might be a physical single coming out, or it might be an iTunes exclusive or something like that, where they really, more than I'd ever seen before, there seemed to be this trend of testing the waters where artists were not so much... Not in all genres. I certainly wouldn't say in the country or Americana genre or even in rock, but a lot of times in pop and even hip hop, where a single was all there was and there was nothing projected to come out beyond that, because there, or if there was going to be an album that it eventually was going to be on, it might be a year out until that happened, because if that one single didn't take off, then screw it. It's like, forget it. It's like they erase it from history. That artist never even existed.
That's true. That happens quite frequently.
Yeah.
And the shelf life of a song it's unbelievable how short that life is.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now, do you, so when releasing things on iTunes, do you only release full albums on iTunes all at once, or?
That's what I've done in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a different view of that currently. I'm thinking a lot about a lot of different things, and YouTube obviously has been big, and I've heard a lot recently about that. There's so many out there now that they're having the same problem. It was big, but what draws people to a particular song?
Right.
So I know people that they're spending big money doing videos.
Oh yeah.
And the irony of it is well, good. How are you going to get it up there?
Right.
So that's.
Well, it's kind of an interesting conundrum too, because you can. I mean, anybody can make a video and post it on YouTube, but then how do you? It doesn't eliminate the question of how do you make sure people know about it? How do you promote it? Because it's such a vast, while you're uploading your video, so are a million other people uploading videos, and
that's right.
Either of music or a kitten doing something silly or whatever it is. You're competing against more than just music. It really.
Yeah. Oh, it's that door is kind of closed along with a lot of other ones because of the access and the millions of stuff. How does anyone know how to go there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is another process that is it's kind of slowed everything down.
Yeah.
So it gives it everybody that after a while says, well, what are we doing here?
Right. Tell me a little bit about touring, because you've kind of suspended your playing live shows.
I have.
And you told me the reason. And
my drummer had a lung transplant, a double lung transplant.
Yeah.
He had a very odd disease, and it's a genetic thing. And anyway, he was very lucky, and he's done pretty well, and he might be back to playing.
Good.
Yeah, we're hoping. But I haven't pushed him. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to play until you're ready to play.
Yeah.
And we raised $25,000 for his recovery.
Wow.
Which, he's probably just about gotten to the end of that,
Yeah.
But, that was just for his recovery period.
Yeah.
But he's a great drummer, and great on stage, especially,
Really, yeah.
when you got a 2-hour show to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
There has to be a general on stage, and I always called him the general. Wayne Ferreira. Nice guy.
Wow. But he's close to he's doing pretty well.
He is doing well.
Good for him, yeah.
And that suspended playing for a while. And I just, as I said, I was true to my word. I didn't want to play until he was ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody for 40 years, it's significant.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a long time to be friends with somebody, and
It is.
and to be making music and whatnot.
Very admirable.
Yeah.
I mean, his qualities not only in music, he's just a great human being.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
And what about now? Are you currently have something that's going to be coming out, or what's your?
I'm working on a new one.
Yeah.
Very slow. Again, when Wayne went down, I kind of said, well, I'll go back to what I do, and then write some more songs.
Yeah.
And we're going to, I think you have one of those that you're going to play. I think you do.
Yeah, there was one of the tracks we had talked about. Was it? No, I'm looking at which. Was it Sometimes?
No.
Was it Thinking About You?
Southern Comfort. Did I give you that?
Oh no, we can play that one next, so I can get it from you after. That's fine.
Sure.
So this is going to be off of what you're working on now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. In fact, I wrote that song particularly for a TV show.
Oh, very cool.
And that's being promoted in L.A.
Can you say what show, or are you not?
No, I can't.
Okay.
But when you hear it, you'll probably have a pretty good idea.
Cool.
But it's hard to, we don't know what people are writing for movies or anything.
Right.
So it's like this file, and these people hear what's going on. They say, whoop, here you go. Try this one. They go, yeah, that's just what we're looking for.
That's exciting, though, huh?
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool.
It really is. Yeah.
All right, well, let's hear the track. So this is Southern Comfort from, do you know the name of the album? Or are you still,
No.
You haven't gotten there yet?
No,
okay.
I haven't gotten there yet.
So is this a world premiere then? This hasn't been played on radio before?
Yes, it has.
It has.
It was played in the Boston area.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't been played on New Hampshire radio
No,
before.
it hasn't.
This is a New Hampshire premiere. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
All right, so this is Southern Comfort from Brad Parker here on Local Outbreak on IPMNation.com.
We know I'm not the man that you believe in, so I turn to any comfort I can find. You drive me to the edge and push me over, then have the nerve to sit and wonder why. There's lightning here each time I see you. I feel the fire when your eyes meet mine. I'd like to look away, but I won't ever, because I know you're coming back sometime. The southern comfort in my heart and love that's in my mind. There's never satisfaction in my soul convincing you to stay again. I'm left alone with Southern comfort. It takes away the pain, and then I pray for Southern comfort in my heart and love that's in my mind. There's never satisfaction in my soul. Southern comfort seems to be the only peace for me. You use me as you wish, and then you go. You are my Southern comfort, don't you know? Use me as you wish, then let me go.
Local Outbreak on IPMNation.com. This is Matt from IPM Nation. And before we wrap up with Brad, I want to remind everybody, of course, that Local Outbreak is sponsored by Central NH Events. If you need a DJ for your event, you can go to centralnhevents.com. Tim does a great job, Mr. Tim Martin, and is a big part of what makes this show possible. And, of course, we do record the show every Tuesday night at the studio, 50 Canal Street in downtown Laconia. Please support your local businesses. Very, very important. And very grateful to Melissa for having us here every week. TheStudioNH.com is the website if you want to check it out. Very cool. A lot of art here, a lot of cool art on the wall and so forth. And it's a funky little gift shop as well. And of course, all the episodes of Local Outbreak are archived at IPMNation.com/Local Outbreak, going all the way back to the beginning of the show. And all the way back to, it's been 5-6 years now we've been doing this. So, and Brad Parker, our guest tonight, Bradley Winfield Parker, if you're looking for his stuff online. And speaking of online, Brad, where's the best place for people to go who want to keep up with what you're doing? And
BradleyWparker.com.
Okay.
That'll get them there.
Okay.
Yeah, or just Google Bradley Winfield Parker, and you got pages of stuff.
Yeah. We were talking off air before the show, and you mentioned you actually found another Bradley Winfield Parker in
Philly.
Philly, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a African American, and he was into that Philly scene, and, back in the doo-wop days.
Yeah,
he had some great songs.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he did well.
Yeah. So obviously no tour dates planned at the moment while your friend is still recovering, but
no. That's interesting. It costs a lot of money to put the band on stage. That's just to put them on stage before you talk about lights and sound, etc.
Yeah.
The other aspect of it is if you're going to do it right, because you're going to hate yourself if you don't.
Right, yeah.
And especially when you've got, as I said, I can do a 2-hour concert, just my own stuff.
Yeah.
And it takes some real good musicians to play it.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, do it right or don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And no ETA on the new album, right? Just kind of
no.
It's done when it's done, and
I have no deadline. It's great. You know?
I'm glad we were able to hear one of the tracks tonight, though. So that's good. Kind of gives us a sneak peek of what to expect.
Actually, 2 tracks. So, sometimes it's going to be off the new one too.
Oh, okay, great. Is that what you want to end the show with tonight? We'll end it with that one, or
if you'd like to. It's a great tune to end with.
Sure. Okay. All right, very good. And and on Facebook too. If people want to friend you on Facebook,
just Bradley Parker, and just put it out there, and I'll approve it for sure.
Yeah. And I found you on Facebook, no problem.
Yeah.
So if people are looking for you on Facebook, you're easy to find there. So very cool.
Yeah, it's been real nice talking with you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Yeah, this has been great.
Had a great time. I was thinking about this earlier on, how many different ways we could take this conversation. I think the more you listen to the music, it kind of directs the show the way that you would want it to go. But that's a lot of music. 3 albums is a lot of music to sit and listen to.
You've got a lot of stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll end with this. So this is Sometimes from Brad Parker here on Local Outbreak on IPMNation.com. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Sometimes life has its sorrow. Sometimes it's worth the pain. Sometimes it's worth waiting. Sometimes I go insane. Sometimes I work the night shift. Sometimes I work the day. Sometimes I can't find any work, but sometimes I can't get paid. Sometimes I find it funny, so far ahead, so far behind. There will always be a span so between this heart and mind. Sometimes I know she loves me. Sometimes I know she don't. Sometimes she makes me wonder. Sometimes she leaves a note. Someday I go to heaven. Some days I go to hell. Sometimes I think they'll break me, but sometimes I just can't tell. Sometimes I find it funny, so far ahead, so far behind. But there will always be a span between this heart and mine. Oh Lord, I know you hear me. Oh Lord, you have my heart. Oh Lord, you keep me humble. Oh, sometimes please make me smart. Sometimes I find it funny, so far ahead, so far behind. There will always be this battle between this heart and mind. There will always be this battle between this heart and mind.
IPMNation.com.